Summertime, så du min, og jeg vild med dig. Summertime, honey, solen danser, du og jeg. Hver evig eneste morgen,
Hi there, and welcome to your modern shaman, Maria in RainbowLand. This is your weekly astrology forecast for all signs, and the collective report for the week commencing at the 19th of June until the 26th of June. So I'll probably edit this so that you see me sitting here, but you also see my journey from my house and all the way down to the shrine. I'm back in Tokyo, and I'm wearing the headphones because I want to make sure that the sound is all right. And these are my curtains. This is my way of blocking the outside world when I need to focus and concentrate because things are going on here, people are parking, etc. So here behind me you see the shrine. If you're watching me sitting here, and if you're still on my journey, you'll see it in a minute. This week is interesting for several reasons. We have the solstice, meaning that we are going from spring into summer. Then we have Neptune stationary. Well, that already happened at the end of last week, Monday, because it's gonna go retrograde. But it's so slow, such a slow planet, so it's basically stationary all week. Then we have the sun moving into Cancer, which is also pretty significant. We already had Venus moving into Leo and Mercury moving into Cancer last week. So just for the record, then no matter where you're watching this, I am also always making a video for each sign. And after this report you will see my weekly contribution, which sometimes is dancing to one of the songs that we wrote and made. I'm a musician, I'm a composer and a songwriter as well. Singer. And sometimes I'm making, you know, fun little acts and play-outs of how signs are acting to different situations. Last week it was how the signs would react to getting a fine, and birds using the car as a toilet. So I try to make it fun, and it's not only a report, it's also a program. But you can always scroll across these sections if you only want to get the report. I also make each sun sign. So if you're in another sign, you just go to the channel Maria in RainbowLand and find your sign. It's on the top of the playlists. Always, I put it all up there always so that you can find it easily. Okay, so let's see what it means, what I just described to you. As we have the solstice and us moving into summer, while Neptune is stationary. This is the first thing I want to focus upon because, in my opinion, this is one of the very important things, since it's only it's retrograding 4 to 5 months a year, so this is something that happens rarely, whereas Mercury is retrograding 3 times a year. And what does it mean? What does it mean when Neptune is stationing and moving retrograde? Well, Neptune is a planet that reveals our connection to what's known as God, popularly speaking, Creator, the universe, whatever we want to call it. It is this planet that dissolves any boundaries or limits between you and the outer world. It does so that you can feel one with all there is. If it's positively aspected to your sun, moon, or rising in your horoscope or in your personal chart, it of course has a much greater significance to your personal life. So depending on how well you know your own chart, this can be more or less significant in your life right now. I hope the sound is all right, because people are talking here, the nice Japanese people, sweet people. I just like them so much. Anyways, last week we were in Denmark, it's been my hometown, so it's a new environment, and I'm getting over my jet lag slowly. Okay, so Neptune is also our creativity, because when we are really creative, we connect with all there is, and the inspiration comes from above, through the crown chakra. So it's also Neptune opening up for our creativity, also music. I have a very, very well aspected Neptune to my sun. So it's in a grand trine, it's in my sister sign. So I always had this great connection. It's also intuition of you opening up for messages from your higher self, other people's higher selves, etc. For many of us, it's retrograde in our personal horoscope, and when it is, it takes a longer time before we learn how to manage Neptune, because it's also the planet of illusion, a disillusion. It's a planet of different kinds of toxins, poison. You know, like for example, too much medicine, drugs, too much alcohol, anything that makes you delusional. So it's also the idealism, where you imagine that the world is like this. You have pink glasses, you're wearing rose-colored glasses. I have Mercury and Venus in Pisces, so I know this tendency of wearing rose-colored glasses. Plus I have Mercury retrograding, but in a good aspect to my sun. So it took me a while to realize that actually often I was painting a picture of how, konnichiwa, of how the world is, and very often the world wasn't really like this. I was just painting, you know, for example, a partner to be all this glorified person, or a situation to be totally awesome, and then I realized, sit out, and then I realized that's a sign, finally, that I have this tendency. So when Neptune, for all of us, I'm saying this not because I want to speak of my own life, but because maybe you can use it as an analog to something in your life where you are disillusional. We all have Neptune somewhere in our chart, so it's not that anyone can say, okay, I don't have it. It's not. I'm always realistic. But for some people, it's not really that outspoken. But the thing is that as it moves retrograde, as it stations and stops, it's kind of like, okay, I had the feeling, for example, I was producing a lot. I don't know if you saw it in the beginning of the program, the light was bad. But I have been making a lot of the new walking art designs from my company, like this one. This is very, very Neptunian, you know, like energy floating and without any limits. It's also Aryan, because it's impulsive and a lot of energy, but all the colors, and you know, it's very Neptunian. And I had this, I really needed to finish 26 designs and creations in a short time. A stylist is going to have it here, or see it here in Japan. So I had to, you know, wrap it up fast, and I had this feeling I had to make it now. And it was not just because I know Neptune was going retrograde, it was because, you know, when it's stopping, because when it's stopping, that can be kind of like, okay, we've reached as far as we could with this planet, and now it's time to go back and then kind of like sort out in the garbage of what was an illusion, was it could also be in relationships, because a lot of relationship stuff is going on with the oppositions. It's always you and someone else. So now it's time, over the next period of time, also with Mercury moving into the sister sign of where Neptune are, or it is already there, in Cancer. Of start trying to communicate your inner feelings to your partner, and with Saturn in opposition also this week to Mercury, this will bring forward communication that is realistic from now on and throughout the whole summer. These things are going on, you know, as we also have Jupiter trining, actually in trine is going to come also between different things going through Cancer. At one point Mercury, then the Sun comes into Cancer, so that we already had Venus there. And this is about the depth of things, but in a realistic way, because we have Jupiter in Scorpio putting a light on. Jupiter is the truth, and Scorpio is the depth of what's going on inside of us on a very deep level. And Neptune is going retrograde, cutting out the illusions, making you realize the truth about this person, about this relationship, about this situation in your life about yourself, because often we attract people. And there's a dove again. We attract people. I always say that whenever something's happening, it puts an emphasis while I'm speaking. It's synchronicity, and it puts an emphasis. You can look up synchronicity and you'll see what it is. Jung was writing about it. It's interesting. Putting an emphasis upon what I'm saying. So this is about what I was just gonna say, that if you attract someone and this person annoys you in a way, it's probably, or just really triggers you, it's something you have to look within yourself. Is it something with me? Does this have to do with something with me? Somewhere where I have been too idealistic and not seeing things for what they were, going deep within and needing to change, because Scorpio, Jupiter is a deep transformation. How can I transform on a deep level? And sometimes we ask ourselves, oh, but this is such a deep thing. My mom and dad was always also like that, or the parent of the opposite sex of you often. When it comes to, because we also have Mars in opposition to Venus, between Leo and Aquarius. I'm trying to paint a picture here, and if you don't know about the planets, leave them out. See it, watch it again if you didn't get it, because the point is also in what I'm saying. Don't mention the planets. It's something to do with other people. It's often something we have with us from our past, repeating, being reflected in the outside world, whether you're single or you're with somebody. It can also be your own mind. Inside yourself you're having a dialogue. Because with Mars in Aquarius, I also see the detachment, and we have had the Pluto opposition. So maybe your relationship ended and now you are having the conversations inside your head. What went wrong in this relationship? And try not to blame life or God, or whatever you call it. Life, God, same thing for me. Try not to blame the person you were with, but try to look inwardly. We cannot always point fingers at others saying, oh, this was him and his past. Or this was her, this was my girlfriend and her past. When she confronted me with this, it had nothing to do with me. Because I'm fine. Pink glasses, Neptune. I'm just perfect as I am. So whenever we're having a conflict, it's just her doing, or him doing something wrong. Or it's also because her parents were like this and There's always something for us to learn as well. Okay, first mosquito bite of the year in Japan. Another sign. Emphasis upon this. We need to look inwardly. Also this week. Especially also because we have the sun going into Cancer. We have the solstice. So the sun, the identity, you, and how you perceive yourself and feel your inner child coming up and realizing what is actually going on inside of me, and how can I communicate this and also get clarity with Mercury there. I can get some clarity about what's going on, about my emotions, because sometimes emotions are so fluid and you don't really know how to understand them. But with Mercury as being a planet of also lining things up in a rational, logical way, even though it's emotions and feelings, you'll get a better understanding. There's a dove just below me. How sweet! The doves here are not afraid. They come very close. Just as the feelings will come of you and other people will come very close this week. Here in Japan, people don't express their emotions so much out in the open, because they are very librarian and always polite and keeping balance, never crossing any boundaries to other people, and there's this tendency of fear of overstepping someone's lines, personal circles, and with these aspects that have been going on, you know, it's also trying to find a balance between opening up. I'm mentioning them because they don't really open up so much, and I don't even know if we do it in our Western culture. Both opening up our hearts with an open mind. You have to have both. So, and remember, if you judge It's a closed heart. But if you recognize something objectively as an observer and see, okay, this is how it is, without needing to judge good, bad, then you have an open heart. Remember, you can always meditate. I opt for this, and I always mention heartfulness because I was meditating for 18 years. And Heartfulness is a free organization of volunteers worldwide. And you get, I suggested it to someone who wrote me on the channel as well, and he said, I don't need help meditating, I can do it on my own. Yes, that's what we can. I did that for 15 years before until I found Heartfulness. In Heartfulness there's transmission, there's a preceptor, it's called, we can call it a teacher, but it's more like someone who's giving transmission while you are meditating. I will make a program, I already made it actually with someone, a doctor from Denmark, a former doctor who explains this actually in a scientific way of what it does to you. I just need to edit the program, you can find it on my channel. It's Paul Yule, he is called. But you need to find a way of how to clean old things without getting stuck to it. Psychology very often makes you talk about things a lot. And you keep focusing upon it, and whatever we focus upon grows, because where attention goes, energy flows. Quantum physics, one of the basic rules. So in Heartfulness, for example, there's a technique where you just, there's many other ways of doing it, so I'm not saying it's the only way. If there's some other way for you, go ahead, follow your heart. Don't follow trends, follow your heart is my motto. The heart is everywhere. And this is my ring finger, not my middle, by the way. I also have hearts here. The thing is that in Heartfulness we have this cleaning process where we just release anything negative out the bag with it, and imagine it's just, we just ask. This is kind of like prayer or intention. We put our intention to that any complexity leaves our body, our system, without the back of the spine as black smoke, and you just trust that this is happening, no matter if your rational mind goes, but how can we prove it? Try it. I said, get your own personal experience and see if it helps. But remember that if you say, no, this doesn't work, it will not work. That's how powerful our mind is. If you open up your mind and heart, then you will make a connection between the mind and the heart, and then zzz, we have the power to transform. Another sign came, because this was also important, as the cow passed by. So, I think this was the most important thing to be said about this week. Unless there was something I forgot. Let me see. But there's some good aspects between Mercury, the Mercury trine between, as I said before, the Mercury trine between Jupiter and Neptune and Mercury will definitely give you a broadened perspective on things. It will make you have a positive outlook. Be careful about the Mars-Venus opposition, that you don't overstep someone's boundaries, balance out the masculine and the feminine. I talked about that last week as well, and I will talk about it more in the individual sun signs. So thank you very much for following me, and for the very positive feedback that I get from sweet and kind people. Thank you so much. This means everything to me. I'm guided to do this, and I don't get anything for it. It takes 2 to 3 days every time to make it, to edit and upload. And I encourage you guys, if you have anything to contribute to the world, where it's just coming from an open heart, you don't expect anything in return, I will tell you that this is one of the most beneficial things you can do. For yourself and for others. And remember, what we send out comes back. I get so much love back in return. Thanks for watching. And now to the other parts of the program, personal sun signs, and how to raise the different sun signs in short. There will be another program about raising your sun sign, your Aries daughter, your Gemini sun, your Capricorn daughter. There'll be a good long program about that also in the future, but for now I just make some small short tips. Thanks a lot. He. See, someone's working here. Sunday and everyone's out. Just saw the woman who praying like at every little temple. And if you notice the sticks close to the graves, they are different sayings. It can be the name of the one buried. It can also be a saying like, I was about to say YOLO, but you only live once. That's because in my Japanese class we were taught that Ohayou gozaimasu. We were taught that one sentence that meant that pretty much in English, but said in another way in Japanese. That was one of the things we were. They made us ride on a stick like that. So people are visiting. Simple, just as I am. Oops, let me control the camera properly. It's Sunday here, so of course for them it's a day to come out and see the beautiful treasures of Japan. Did you hear that melody in the background? That is a Japanese song playing every time it's 5 o'clock, so the kids know, and it's playing all over, so the kids know that now it's time to go home and eat very soon. Isn't that funny? Okay. Hi there, Sag. Sister sign, Sag. And welcome to another round of Modern Shaman, Hjelmborg and RainbowLand. Let me leave this here and start the report. So how have you been? I hope you've been awesome, doing awesome. So this week we have the sun moving into your 8th house where Mercury already is. What does this mean for you? Well, as we know, the sun is one of the planets that the luminaries, which is highlighting things. It's really, you know, when the sun changes signs, it's 1 month of highlighting a certain area of your life. And as Mercury is already in the sign of Cancer, your 8th house, and Mercury being new ideas, thoughts about something, and now the sun comes and put an emphasis upon this. It's you figuring out things on a deeper psychological level. Perhaps it's about relationships, as we still have the new moon clinging from last week, which happened in your relationship sector of the monkey-minded. It's what some astrologers call the Gemini. I'm sorry, Geminis, but you're not Gemini, so but maybe you're Gemini rising or something. It's just, you know, I'm Aries, so we also just called, you know, the little feisty goat that just wants to make love, to say it in a nice way, but in a primal way. So we can always laugh about stuff, but in your case it may be something relationship related as well. I mean, personal relationship, but it can also be with other things where you're in connection with other people, because Mercury is going to be in opposition to Pluto, and Pluto is in your 2nd house. And in the 2nd house, Pluto being there, it's very intense, you know, and when it's in opposition with Mercury, the planet of communication, it's intense communication about matters that go on upon you on a deep psychological level, but also something concerned with your finances, that tends to trigger us, especially because you have had so much going on financial-wise that has been unstable for you with Pluto there. It's kind of like, yeah, it's been destroying things that wasn't working on such a deep level for so many years now. So it can trigger you in a way also, especially because we have Mars in opposition to Venus, and Mars is in Aquarius. And this is your third house of communication and talking. And Mars is aggressive, so is Pluto, you know. And in each of their ways, Mars is shouting out loud. You see it coming from a far away, and you know, with Pluto it's more like aggressive in a psychological way. So when both of these planets are activated, we really need to put on our diplomatic cap, you know. Diplomacy is needed this week because Mars is in opposition to Venus. So it's the lovers meeting, and it's meeting in between your third and your natural ninth house, of where you want to expand your mind and see the broader perspective. Venus, you know, she is so beautiful, and in a nice way you want to go out traveling and expand your world and your mind. And here comes Mars that just wants it his way and, you know, assertively goes forward. And so you need to moves forward. You need to balance out these sides of your nature that just rashly burst out with whatever it is that you want to have in your mind impulsively. You need to control your impulses, because here in the third house, Mars can be quite impulsive and say something that might regret later, because Venus wants tact. So you have to balance that primal nature of yours with the kind, more feminine side of your nature. Then we also have in your fourth house Neptune going stationary before it goes retrograde. And this in your fourth house is telling us that, okay, whenever Neptune is going retrograde, it's going to unveil something where you were not realistic, where you had a dreamy vision about things. You saw with rose-colored glasses about your home situation, how you were in this beautiful fairy tale home-wise, and now little by little it will be a time where you need to realize which things you were not being totally honest about to yourself in this regards. But it's forming a great aspect still to Jupiter, you know, throughout the year, the whole year in your 12th house. So these things that are being uncovered is going to help you as well on a more spiritual level. So, and since you like to develop spiritually, because this will broaden your perspective on things, on life, maybe there's something you really need to let go of. And maybe now is the time to uncover what that is. And it's forming a great aspect to Mercury during this week as well. So maybe actually, even though there will be some complications, you will be able to communicate this thing from deep within you, and this will create rings in the water, repercussions that will, at the end of the story, benefit your finances and your self-worth as well. So remember, this is important for you guys as well. Chinmo kusuru, I wrote here, this means shut up. Or said in a more nice way, be quiet, be still. Sometimes you just need to sip it in order for you to gain what you really need. Because sometimes we talk too fast because we want something, but what do you really need on a deep psychological level? It's a time for you to go deeper into that for the next month. And remember, in relationships, because this is so much about relationships, and you're good at this, so I think it won't be a problem, but it could be for all of us. If you give the other person freedom to think the way they want to think, Mars in Aquarius, freedom of feeling, wanting, having a dream, a call to go this direction, follow their heart in this direction. If you give them that space, you'll be given that space as well. But if you judge the other person, if you say, no, that's wrong what you did, or how you do this and that, if you judge, they close their hearts and you close your heart. And it will be a domino effect and a negative spiral. North node of the moon is conjuncting with Venus. in your 9th house, your natural 9th house. And the north node of the moon is our path. It's a destiny we planned out to hopefully follow in this life. So when Venus is there, she's putting a beautiful light upon this, what you want in your life. Sometimes you need to be quiet, in order to gain and tactfully move in the right direction for yourself. Don't follow trends, follow your heart. Thanks for watching, Sagittarius. Remember, you can follow the channel Maria and RainbowLand if you want notifications every week. So I was forced to move. So if this is a sudden scene change, they closed down the temple, and I'm recording this at the end of the whole setting. So the light is getting dim, and the sound is the noise is getting louder because I have moved closer to the street. And this is the extra little thing for this week. I always make an extra thing, and this week it's about how to raise the different signs. Ouch. This chain is holding on to my hair. That's a sign of what I'm gonna say. Okay, so I'm not saying that I'm an expert or anything like that at all. I'm just looking into each sign and imagine a kid what they will need to learn from the beginning of their life if they are a typical example of their sign. I will make a whole series of programs about this later on. I'm not saying when, because I think it's a very interesting thing about astrology and how to raise children, because the awareness of that your child chose to be a certain sign is telling you a lot about how you can help this child in this life. A lot. That's why I even opt for astrology in the first case, because very early on you will already have a perspective of what this child needs to learn, not only from its sun sign, but if you see the whole chart, you will really see some themes, and you will also see yourself reflected in it. That's the interesting part if you're the parent. Okay, so there's a song that I want to sing just a few lines of because it reminds me of this. And it's the Fuji song that says, "Ready or not, here I come, you can't hide. I'm gonna find you and make you. Ready or not, here I go, you can't hide. I'm gonna find you and take it slowly." So, why do I sing this song? Actually, I sang the wrong line at first. The reason why I chose this song is that my experience or impression of how it is for parents to get a child is that whether you're ready or not, you're gonna get some truth revealed about your life when you get a child, and you'll be tried and tested in all ways possible, in your insecurities and everything, because they're gonna mirror whatever you suppress as well. You know, I can see that with myself. I have my own example as I have been mirroring what my parents have been suppressing. So, and I've also been mirroring the beautiful things, but also the challenges. You know, you can't hide. I'm gonna find you and take it slowly. So slowly, we need, or parents need to just accept and acknowledge that these trials are huge, and you cannot hide anything. You can't hide. It's gonna find you. So whatever it is that you don't want to see about yourself, the children will show you. So this was not only what this program was going to be about. We're going to start with Aries. Man, it's getting dark fast. I hope that we can get to finish it. So we are in a new setting here because it got too dark, the batteries ran out, and sometimes you just got to listen to the universe. So we start with Aries. So the Aries kid is the very, very lively, you know, full of sparkles and energy, and he's, he loves to just give it to the max, and has a lot of new spontaneous ideas, and starts a lot of projects, and you need to teach this kid to try to learn to finish what he starts, or not start that many, because it can be a stressful one later on in life. So they can also be very suddenly very angry, and then and they're shouting and yelling, and then quickly they calm down again. So you're dealing with hot temper, aggressiveness, and they're also the natural leaders, the first sign, so they know which way to go, and therefore they can be a little bit bossy. So you gotta, early on in life, try to encourage your little Aries daughter or son to get some good values, so that they can use the fire and the feisty fighting spirit to fight for the good, for love, or stuff like that.
So the interesting part here is that I chose to take the section with the raising out and make a video of its own, and that is a video which is on top of my channel. So you just go in there and find it through there, or I'll place the video in the text below so that you can just go directly to it once you're done. And remember, this is a part of the program this week, so I hope you will go and watch it. It's fun, and it's about all signs and how they are better, how you in the best way can try to understand the kid, the Aries kid, the Taurus kid, the Leo kid, the Scorpio kid, the Aquarius kid, and how to raise them. But also, even though you're an adult, how you could have been raised better. But then again, I'm not an expert, so I'm not saying that I know it all, but I just know that the video would have been too long if I had placed it all together. It would have been more than 1 hour and 45 minutes. So check it out on the channel. See you next time. Don't miss out on it. Look how each sign needs to be raised. Summertime, summertime. Så du er min, og jeg er vild med dig.